This is Ms. Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 9, Note 6. So we're going to be talking about long division with polynomials. So we're basically going to be starting to divide polynomials using long division. So for starters, let's go ahead and let's take a look at reviewing long division. So when you did long division previously, you put your divisor, or the thing that you're dividing by, on the outside. So we put that 15 on the outside, and then underneath the divisor goes your dividend, and that's what's being divided. Okay, so when we go and do this, we want to take this and fit it into what's underneath our division symbol. So we want to take and see how many times 15 can go into 3. Well, it can't, so we immediately have to look at 32. So how many times does 15 go into 32? And that's going to be twice. So then I'm going to take 15 times 2, and that's going to be 30. So then I'm going to do 32 minus 30, and that's going to be 2. Then I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to drop it down. So when I drop the 4 down, I need to figure out how many times 15 can go into 24, and that is just once. So 15 times 1 is 15. Subtract those out and I get 9. Now I'm bringing down the 0. Well, how many times does 15 go into 90? And that's going to be 6. And 6 times 15 is 90. And you subtract those out and you get 0. Okay, so there is a remainder of 0, so then our answer is just 216 for number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. So for number 2, I'm taking 12 and I'm seeing how many times I can fit it into 5,730. Well, 12 isn't going to fit into 5, so I need to figure out how many times it's going to fit into 57, and that's going to be 4. So 12 times 4 is going to give us 48. So then I'm going to subtract that off. 57 minus 48 is going to give me 9. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring down that 3. So then I'm looking at 93, and I need to ask myself how many times 12 can fit into 93, and that's going to be 7. So 12 times 7 is 84. Subtract that off and I get 9. And then again, I'm going to bring down that 0. And then I ask myself, how many times does 12 go into 90? And again, that's going to be 7. 12 times 7 is 84, and so I subtract that off and I end up getting 6. So I'm going to have a remainder for this one. So I'm going to take my answer that's up there, which is 477, and then I'm going to add plus my remainder. So I'm going to take my remainder and write it over my divisor, which is 12. And we're just going to leave it just like that because it'll make more sense to us why when we actually get into dividing polynomials. Next, let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, we want to split these guys up. So when you're doing things and the divisor is just a monomial, the best way to do that is to actually split it up. So 12a to the 5th divided by 6a. Then 3a squared divided by 6a. So I'm just taking each term up top and dividing it by 6a. So let's take a look. 12 divided by 6 is 2. a to the 5th divided by a to the 1st, you're going to subtract those exponents. 5 minus 1 is going to give you to the 4th. Then negative 3 divided by 6, well, we're going to end up having a 2. That fraction is going to reduce to 1/2. But I'm going to have an a on top, so I don't need to have a 1. So because a squared divided by a to the 1st is just a. Then taking a look at number 2. So then 42 divided by 6 is 7, and then we cancel out the a's. So that right there is your final answer for number 3. Let's take a look at number 4. So I have 15x to the 4th, then divided by 5x. Again, just splitting that up. Negative 35x cubed, again, divided by 5x. Plus 20x divided by 5x. So let's go ahead and let's divide that out. 15 divided by 5 is 3. X to the 4th divided by x to the 1st is x to the 3rd. 35 divided by 5 is negative 7. X to the 3rd divided by x is x squared. 20 divided by 5 is 4, and x over x is going to cancel. So this is your final answer for number 4. All right, let's take a look at what long division actually is. I do want you to actually have these steps written down, and I will check, so make sure you get them written down. So when you're setting up the box, you have your divisor, which is what you're dividing by on the outside, and your dividend, what's being divided on the inside. You want to find a number to multiply by the divisor to get the dividend. That's what we've been doing. Multiply all the parts and subtract. The subtraction part is going to be the hardest. Make sure you keep track of your negatives, and you're going to keep repeating this until you reach the end of the dividend. Then if the remainder's left, you write it over your original divisor. So that's a lot of words. Let's take a look at it into practice, shall we? So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to have x plus 5 on the outside, and then underneath I'm going to have x squared minus 3x minus 40. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at just the first term of each. So I'm trying to ask myself, okay, how can I take x and make it x squared? How can I take x and make it x squared? Well, I need to multiply by x. So I'm going to put that in my x column. So then I'm going to take x and I'm going to multiply it by x plus 5. So I'm taking that x and I'm distributing it in. Well, x times x is x squared, and 5 times x is 5x. Okay, now that's being subtracted off. So maybe to help yourself when you're subtracting something off, actually change the symbol so you don't forget that you're subtracting. X squared minus x squared is canceling out, and then negative 3 minus 5 is going to give you negative 8x, and then you're dividing down to negative 40. So now I'm taking a look at x and I'm asking myself, okay, how can I take x and make it negative 8x? Well, I need to multiply by a negative 8. So again, that's going to go in my constants column. So now I'm taking negative 8 and I'm multiplying it times x plus 5. So I'm going to take that negative 8 and distribute it in. So I get negative 8x minus 40. Now, again, this part's being subtracted off, so help yourself out by changing the symbols and changing it to addition. Negative 8x plus 8x cancels, negative 40 plus 40 cancels. So there is no remainder for this one because that worked down to 0. So our final answer then is x minus 8. And just for to make it easier for me to grade and for you to see, take your answer out and actually write it in a separate place for me, please. All right, let's take a look now at number 6. So let's go ahead and get that guy set up. So when we do this, what we want to do is I'm going to put the x plus 1 on the outside, and then underneath I'm going to have x squared minus 9x minus 10. So then I'm looking at this and I'm asking myself, how can I multiply from x to x squared? And again, I'm going to be multiplying by an x. So I'm basically taking x times x plus 1 and distributing it in. I'm going to stop writing that out because I'm hoping if you still need to that you'll write it out yourself. So then I get x squared plus 1x. And again, that's being subtracted, so you may want to change the signs of everything. My x squareds are going to cancel. Negative 9x minus 1x is negative 10x. And then you're going to drop down the negative 10. So what do I need to multiply x by to get to a negative 10x? Again, just focusing on that first term. And that's going to be a negative 10. So I'm taking negative 10 and multiplying it by each of those terms. So I get negative 10x minus 10. Again, that's being subtracted off, so I can change the signs of everything, and again, I end up getting a remainder of 0. So my answer then is just x minus 10 for number 6. Let's take a look at number 7. So for number 7, we have x minus 4 on the outside, and then x squared plus 3x minus 24 on the inside. So how do you multiply x to x squared? Well, again, you're just going to be multiplying by x. So I'm taking each of these terms and multiplying them by x. So then I get x squared minus 4x. So then I'm going to be subtracting those off. So this one's going to become a negative and that's going to become a positive. Well, negative 3x plus 4x is 7x. And then I'm going to bring on down that 24. So how do you multiply from x here to 7x here? Well, you need to multiply by a positive 7. So then I'm going to take both of these terms and multiply them by 7. So then I get 7x minus 28 when you take negative 4 times 7. So now I'm taking and I'm subtracting that off. So all of my signs are going to change, and that becomes addition. 7x minus 7x cancels. Negative 24 plus 28 is going to give me 4. So I end up having a remainder of 4. So I'm going to take my answer from up here, which is x plus 7, and I'm going to write that out. And now I need to write my remainder. So I'm going to take my remainder and I'm going to write it over my divisor, which is x minus 4. So I have x plus 7 plus 4 divided by x plus 4. So that's all you have to do with the remainder there. So let's take a look at number 8. For some reason, number 8 throws students off, but it really means the same thing. That huge fraction bar still means that we're going to be dividing. So x plus 3 is my divider that comes out on the outside, and x squared plus 3x is what's being divided, so that makes it my dividend. So let's go ahead. How can you multiply x to x squared? Well, to multiply x to x squared, you're going to have to multiply by x. So you're going to take x plus 3, and you're going to multiply that each by x. So then you get x squared plus 3x. So then I'm going to subtract that off. So here I end up getting a 0, and then a plus 12. So I have a 0x. So how do I take x and multiply to a 0x? Well, I multiply by 0. So then I get 0x plus 0, and then I get 12. So I end up having a remainder of 12. So when I do that, I don't have to write this 0 here. We just won't have a number there. So I have an x, and then I'm going to go straight to my remainder. So I'm taking my remainder and then putting that over my original divider. So that right there is my answer for number 8. Let's take a look at number 9. So for number 9, what we need to do is we need to simplify this out. So let's go ahead and set it up. So we're going to have 2x minus 1 here, and then 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. So then I'm asking myself, okay, how do I take 2x and get it to be 2x squared? Well, I need to multiply by x. Again, putting that over the x column. So 2x times x is going to give me 2x squared. Negative 1 times x is going to give me negative 1x. And again, I'm subtracting that off, so I like to change the signs of everything. 2x squared minus 2x squared cancels, and then I have 3x plus 1x, which gives me 4x. Then I'm going to bring down the minus 5. So I have 2x. What do I need to multiply by to get 4x? Well, in order to get to 4x from 2x, I need to multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then x. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Again, that's being subtracted off, so I want to change the signs of everything. 4x minus 4x is 0. Negative 5 plus 2 is going to give me a negative 3. So that's going to be my remainder. So my answer is x plus 2. And then I'm going to have a negative 3, and I'm going to divide it by my original divider as the remainder, which is 2x minus 1. So that right there is your final answer. So you have x plus 2 plus a negative 3 divided by 2x minus 1. So that's your final answer for number 9. Last but not least, let's take a look at number 10. Now, number 10 can be slightly tricky, okay, and I'm going to show you why. So on the outside, we have this 2n minus 3. Then on the inside, notice our largest is 4n cubed, but there is no squared term. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a placeholder in for that squared term. I'm just going to write 0n squared, so I have a place for that squared term because I may need it, plus 5n minus 21. And now we're ready to rock. So I need to figure out what I need to multiply 2n by to get to 4n cubed. Well, let's start with the first part. How do we multiply to 2 to get to 4? Well, you multiply by 2. How do you multiply n to get n cubed? Well, we need 2 more n's, so you need to multiply by n squared. So this is why I put that extra column in there, because I ended up needing to multiply by a squared. So I needed that 2n squared there. So now I need to multiply to get what I need. So 2 times 2 is 4, n squared times n, it is n to the third, minus 3 times 2 is negative 6, and then we're going to have n squared. So this is being subtracted off. My 4n cubes cancel. 0n squared plus 6n squared is just 6n squared. And then we're going to drop down that 5n. So how do we multiply from 2 to get to 6? So to multiply from 2 to get to 6, we need to multiply by 3. To get from n to n squared, we need to multiply by another n. So we know that this is going to work out to be 6n squared. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, and then we're going to go ahead and have another n. So then we're going to take and we're going to change the signs of everything because we're subtracting. So 6n squared minus 6n squared cancels. 5n plus 9n is going to give me 14n. So then I'm taking that negative 21 from way up there and I'm dropping it down. So then I need to ask myself, what do I need to multiply 2n by to get 14n? And that's just going to be 7. So I'm going to take each of these and multiply them by 7. So then I end up getting 14n minus 21. Now that's being subtracted off, so I'm going to change the signs of everything, and I end up getting a remainder of 0. So my final answer for that one is 2n squared plus 3n plus 7 for your final answer for number 10. And that concludes your note video for today. Thanks for listening.